got a G chord. I can make a one chord song. Oh yeah. Okay. Hey everybody, Gary here with Guitar Tricks, and in this video I want to share with you what I consider the best, easiest open tuning where even if you've never played guitar before, you could start playing songs and making music on day one. It's super simple, and that's open G tuning. And even though it's super simple, it's totally legitimate. The Rolling Stones used it, Joni Mitchell, lots of different people have used this open tuning because it sounds really good and it's so fun to play in. Before we get into the lesson, please go ahead and click subscribe so that you get all the latest and greatest content from Guitar Tricks. And if you want to be notified of any new lesson, be sure to also tap that bell and let us know in the comments what you would like to see as future lessons. That's where we're always looking for ideas. All right, let's get into it. So here's our standard tuning. When we just strum it, it doesn't necessarily sound good, right? It's kind of like, you know. So in order to make it sound good, we got to play these chords, you know, which require some technique, and they require us to use a lot of fingers to make those chords happen, right? So we can start by making just the open strings an actual chord that we could easily move around the neck with one finger. So check this out. Right now we've got E, A, D, G, B, E. What we're gonna do is we're gonna tune the two E strings down to a D, and we're gonna tune the A string down to a G. So check this out. E, I'm gonna go down to a D. Now, if I don't have a tuner, I could match it to the sound of the open D. That's what I'm gonna do to start. So I'm in the ballpark. And then I could even play the 12th fret and match that to the open D. And now I'm going to fine tune it with my headstock tuner. Ah, I was right on the money. Good. And then the other E string. Down to a D. So that's called one whole step. Now the A, I'm going to go to a G. And I could tune this to the open G string. And then fine tune it on the tuner. Now, when you detune a few of the strings that much, you know, a whole step, it changes the tension on the neck, so it affects the tuning of the other strings. So you do want to check your whole guitar after you detune those strings. Then, if you've done it correctly, beautiful. So just the open strings become an open G chord. So right there, you already got one perfect chord, you know? Well, I've got a G chord. I can make a one chord song. Oh yeah. Okay, then from there, what that means is if you just take one finger and press it against the fretboard on any one fret, you've got a new major chord. This is G major. This is C major on the 5th fret. This is D major on the 7th fret. A lot of songs are just written with those three chords, G, C, and D. In the key of G, that's what we call the 1, 4, and 5 chord. G, A, B, C, and D. In any key, in any major key, the 1st, 4th, and 5th chord in that key is major. Now here's the cool thing. You don't have to play all the strings. You could get the chord just on the top 3 strings. So if I wanted to go G, C, D, I could go. So that's one way to play with it. And you could experiment, try other frets, you know? Right? You know, just have fun with that. So that's how you play a major chord. Now the 2 root notes of this chord, meaning the note that the chord is named after, is on the 5th string is 1, that's the lower one, and on the 3rd string is the higher one. Those are the same note. So in order to know what chord you're playing, think about what the note is on string 5. So you want to memorize, okay, there's G in this tuning. Then we have G sharp or A flat, same note, A sharp, B flat on the 3rd fret, B on the 4th fret, C on the 5th fret, C sharp, D flat on the 6th fret, D on the 7th fret, D sharp, E flat on the 8th fret, E on the 9th fret, F on the 10th fret, F sharp, G flat on the 11th, and then back to G on the 12th. So then let's say we want to play the chord progression G to C to D. Well, G, C, D. That's going to be on open, 5th fret, and then 7th fret. So and then I just flatten out my finger. Now let's say we want to play a minor chord. That kind of presents a problem. The only difference between a major chord and a minor chord is this note in the chord we call the 3rd. We have to lower it by 1 fret. That's what makes it minor. So in other words, when we look at this open tuning, the root is G, the 5th is D, and the 3rd is B. So here we have a D, that's the 5th. Then we have a G, that's the root. Then we've got a D, another 5th, then a G, another root, then a B, there's our major 3rd right there, and then another D, another 5th. So there's only 1/3, the B string. So this B string is really important to the chord. And that means if we want to make a minor chord, let's say we want to make the chord E minor, which is in the key of G. Well, this would be an E major if I just went, but remember the B string has to come down a 1/2 step or 1 fret. Now that presents a problem because I can't play all those notes, right? All the available notes are 9, 9, 9, 9, 8, 9, but I need 8 to make it minor. So the easiest way to do that is just play the top 3 strings like this. We could go on the 3rd string counting toes to nose, fret 9 with the middle finger, then fret 8 with the index on the 2nd string counting toes to nose, and then fret 9 again with the ring finger. And we just want to point those straight into the frets like that. See how they're pointing straight in? So I'm dropping the wrist a little bit, thumb is on the back of the neck, very relaxed, and my hand's a little tilted. That helps with that shape too. Then if we want to get a little crazy, we could add this note too, which is another root note. And then we have 4 like this. But then it becomes on the D string, middle finger, then G ring, then B index, and then pinky on the high E. Right? I could also do things like this. That's getting a little crazy, or like this. Right? But this is a beginner lesson, so let's just stick with this or this. Okay, so now let's say I wanted to play the chord progression G, D, E minor, C. This is how it's going to look. So here's G to D. Here we go. To E minor. To C. Cool. So you could just stick with your major chords, or if you want to get adventurous, try making some minor chords too, right? Now, another way to play with this tuning is just stick with that G and then just play melodies on a single note. And let's say you don't like this key, right? So you're trying to play in this key and you want to sing, you know. Well, this is the key and I don't really like it for my voice. It's a little too not so good. My voice is cracking. Well, then you can take your capo, find a different key. Let me try 5th fret. I'm going to put my capo on the 5th fret and try the same thing. Let's see how this goes. Well, this is my new key, and I'm singing lower in my new key. It feels better for me. I'm gonna change chords, go to the new chord. Oh yeah. So for me, this key made my voice go lower. Now, you don't necessarily have to know what key that is, but if you're curious, then you need to know, well, what is that note on the 5th string? Well, if this was G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C. So now we are in the key of C. For me personally, C is better than G. So as you can see, the guitar tuning that we're accustomed to, it's really just a suggestion. We've got a tuner, we've got our tuning knobs. We could tune the guitar however we want. You do have to be careful with tuning when you make strings sharper or higher in pitch than they're supposed to be, because if they're high tension strings to begin with, adding more tension can put a lot of stress on the neck. So that's my only warning, is if you're experimenting with open tuning, be a little careful about putting more tension on the neck. If it's a type of tuning that has some strings that have to be made tighter and some made looser, make the other ones looser before making the one tighter. That's just a suggestion. In this case, we're just making everything looser, so there's no risk to your guitar. We're just loosening the 2 E strings and also the A string, right? So I hope you have fun experimenting with this open tuning. It's super simple. You could tune to it on day 1 and already just start playing chords with 1 finger. Major chords, remember, if the minor chord, we need the 3 fingers, but we could do that just on the top 3 strings to make it easier. And yeah, like I said, you know, Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones was really into this tuning. People that play with a slide love this tuning because the slide just goes across a single fret, right? So this is a very legitimate thing that a lot of people have used in different genres of music and, you know, made very successful music in open G tuning. All right, everybody, if you want to learn more about playing guitar, head over to guitartricks.com, where you'll find sequential courses for guitar fundamentals, blues, rock, country, a library of song lessons that teach you how to play songs note for note with downloadable tab, multiple video angles and multiple videos depending on what section of the song, backing tracks to go along with those lessons, all sorts of great stuff. Guitartricks.com. Happy playing, and I'll see you in the next lesson.